Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. I know both guys personally. I respect both guys. I'm not taking a side. But I will say this, you know, I get what Errol Spence and PB, I get it. I get the play. I think a lot of people at this point get the play. You have the ace card. You have the majority of the welterweights on your side. Well played. You won the battle. But the war has yet to be fought and the war is yet to be won. And I think the question is not, do these guys have to fight one another? It's, do you want to fight one another? I love Sean Porter. I love Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. I respect all those guys. Came up with those guys. But those guys are not Terrence Crawford. At a certain point in time, you put the politics aside and you put the business of boxing aside. I'm not saying don't go get your money. Get your money. But you tap your guy, your representative on the shoulder and say, make the fight. Now, let's get as much as we can get, but make the fight. That's where I think these guys are at right now. And I would challenge both guys, Spence and Crawford. And I know Crawford is saying that he wants it. But outside of a Manny Pacquiao fight, I don't see Errol Spence making the money that he would make with this guy. Maybe if he goes up and takes a crazy risk against Canelo. But outside of Manny Pacquiao, neither fighter is going to do bigger business with anyone else than each other. And maybe legacy doesn't mean as much to everybody as it used to, but here's the thing. I'm not just talking about you being remembered amongst your fan base. I'm not talking about you being remembered amongst the people that support you. I'm talking about being in the history books where you're never forgotten. In order for that to happen, you have to fight a guy that doesn't know how to lose and a guy that is threatening your legacy and threatening everything that you've earned up until this point. So I am cautiously optimistic that we're going to see this fight in late 2021.
You were tuned in to G5Jefftv. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button as you come on in. What you just heard was Andre Ward talking about the potential Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford fight. To cap it off, he said he is cautiously optimistic. I dropped a video about a week ago saying I don't think the fight is going to happen. If it don't happen in 2021, I don't think it's going to happen, period. Both guys are at their peak. They're in their prime. Not only in ring, but age-wise, they're both in their prime. And I feel like 2021 is the best time for that fight to go down. But Andre Ward touched on a couple things that I really want to talk about. Andre Ward talked about legacy, and some guys care about their legacy and some don't. Some guys care about legacy more than others. In this day and age, when it comes down to boxing, I think if the business aspect is not right for all parties, then the legacy fight is not going to happen. Where back in the day, 10 years ago plus, you seen more legacy fights. Back in the day. Now, I think you can actually have a longer conversation about the politics of boxing than actual boxing. And that's where we're at as far as the sport is concerned. So as far as Andre Ward saying that, I do agree with that premise. He said some things as far as Terrence Crawford, and he said some things as far as Errol Spence. He said he wasn't taking any sides or anything like that, but he acknowledged the business play of PBC. He acknowledged the business play of Errol Spence. Basically all of the opponents is on the PBC side, so they have Terrence Crawford backed into a corner. Like, that's essentially what Andre Ward was saying in terms of me listening to him. And yes, absolutely, PBC has cornered the market when it comes down to the 147-pound division, period. Errol Spence has the better names on his resume. He has the better victories on his resume. He has more belts than Terrence Crawford. So, yes, PBC and Errol Spence has done a great job at solidifying themselves as the A side in this equation. So when Errol Spence came out and he said, hey, I want 60-40, essentially, when I heard it, I was like, yo, Terrence Crawford is crazy to sign that. He's crazy to sign that. And then, thanks to some people that I'm cool with and some people that I respect, they brought some things to my attention from the business aspect. And I was like, you know what? I was just like, Errol Spence, I could see him asking for 60-40, and he has a legit claim for it. He has more belts. He has the better opponents. He has the better pay-per-view numbers. And also with this COVID thing, that fight might only be able to go down in Texas, which is Spence's hometown. So he has cornered the market. Like Andre Ward said, congratulations. But at some point, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are going to have to simply just answer the question. Are we going to do everything that needs to be done to get this fight made? If they have to hesitate and think about it before they answer that question, then it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. At this point, just listening to Andre Ward talk about it, you can sense the frustration, because you want to see two guys at their best, in their prime, basically almost for all the marbles outside of the belt that Manny Pacquiao has, in a unification fight. Like, that's what the boxing fans want to see. That's what the boxing media wants to see. All of that. But to be honest, I mean, Andre Ward is right. I mean, like, both guys are really trying to paint the picture that they're not paying attention to the other guy. Like Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford said, hey, let me go ahead and go to this Errol Spence Danny Garcia fight. So he shows up at the fight like he's supposed to. Like he's supposed to. A lot of fighters should be doing that and they don't. So he showed up. But then, you know, Terrence Crawford turns around in interviews and says, oh, well, I'll take Manny Pacquiao first, then I'll take Spence. You take Errol Spence and he's like, oh, well, Terrence Crawford said he ain't thinking about me, so I ain't thinking about him. You know, I'm the A side. I got more belts. Like, both of them are trying to play it like they're not paying each other any mind. But the one thing that Andre Ward said is very true. The biggest money Spence can make is with Terrence Crawford. The biggest money that Terrence Crawford can make is with Errol Spence. Even if Terrence Crawford took 40%, even if he took a 60-40 deal in Spence's favor, he would still make more money in a Spence fight than he would anything that Top Rank can offer him. Period. I mean, that's where Andre Ward hit the nail on the head. That's where he hit the nail on the head. Like, I don't see the fight happening. I just don't see the fight happening. Errol Spence probably deserves 60-40, but if they told him, hey, we'll take 55-45, we'll sign the fight right now for 55-45, I don't think Spence will do it. The only other fight that Spence can take right now that'll be more money is Canelo, and he would have to jump up 2 weight classes to do it, and that's if Canelo even agrees to fight at 160. You know how Canelo does. Canelo might tell Spence, like, hey, we got to fight at 163. He might create a catch weight, 163, 164, and Canelo can come in at 163, 164, and then come into the fight like 180, 185, And Spence is going to be what? One, you know, what? 160 something, 170. So he's fighting way above his usual weight. Like, that don't even make any sense. Like, the names sound good, but what's in it for Canelo? Him beating a smaller Spence ain't gonna do nothing for his career. It's not. It's a good fantasy matchup, but like, no. Like, hell no. Like, guys moving up 2-3 weight classes, that shit don't ever work. That all that daring to be great and all that shit never works. Never. I can count on one hand how many times it worked. Take Bernard Hopkins when he went up to fight Kelly Pavlik. I don't even know if that was 2 weight classes, but that was off the top of my head. Roy Jones, John Ruiz. Even with that, Roy Jones is so skilled and talented, it was just like, yo, John Ruiz don't hit him with the home run shot, John Ruiz losing. So the only thing that made that appealing was the size. Not the skill or anything else. Like, Spence jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, that's just it's a money move. It's a money move for Errol Spence. If Terrence Crawford wanted to move up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, I would say the same thing. It's a money move. Bottom line is, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence are the 2 best guys in the division. They're in their prime. They're both, you could say, both a top 5 pound for pound. It's the biggest fight to be made. And if they're not willing to do everything humanly possible to make the fight happen, then it's not going to happen. So Andre Ward is cautiously optimistic that it can happen in 2021. I'm not optimistic at all. I don't think that shit is happening. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. G5Jefftv, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video. Support your boy. Support good content at all times. I appreciate y'all. Peace.